Thanks, Governor, and Lieutenant Governor Polito as well. I want to thank the Governor for providing the forum here today to talk about what the President's proposed assistance package will look like. It is certainly going to pass. The Speaker has made clear that this will pass, she believed, maybe in the second or third week of March. We met with the President on Friday for 2 hours to talk not just about the plan. They had outlined an architecture, and we have filled in the details. But in the case of Governor Baker and the Lieutenant Governor, I conferred with him regularly, sometimes on a daily basis, as we proceeded through the CARES Act and the HEROES Act, and then subsequently the $905 billion package that we passed in December. So the timeline, as I've just described it, is the one that we intend to adhere to. I'm going to run through some of the details that I know that are really important. The Ways and Means Committee has responsibility for tax, trade, tariff, Social Security, Medicare, pensions, management of the public debt, and welfare. Small working committee and enormous responsibility. So the President has proposed $1.9 trillion in spending. The Ways and Means Committee, beginning Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock and hopefully concluding on Friday, will write $941 billion of that responsibility. Part of it is what we call the use of tax expenditures to implement policy. Here's what the plan is going to look like. The blueprint will be for the public to inspect tonight beginning at 6 o'clock. We are not going to we will not get the economy back up and running until we defeat the virus. Last month's jobs report, as you all had a chance to witness on Friday, provided a new glimpse as to where we find ourselves. 47,000 jobs created. 10 million jobs that were lost in the pandemic have not been returned. 19 million Americans are receiving unemployment insurance. Our hospitals across the country, in many instances, are under siege. Labor participation rates, which people like me pay a great deal of attention to, are there for all to witness as we try to find our way to recovery. We wrote the CARES Act. It saved the American economy. Economists left, right, and center would all agree with what I've just asserted. People are struggling. We need to hear their calls for help. Right now, when you look at the American economy, it highlights the changes that have taken place, not just because of technology, but the idea that people in the middle and upper middle classes and high income groups have all held their own through this. But people in the lower end of the middle class and lower end of the economic spectrum, they have really struggled. 10,400 businesses in Western Massachusetts took advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program. 10,400 businesses took advantage of it. Perhaps the most important thing we did, and we're going to do it again in this package, was unemployment insurance. That was essential. Many people, through no fault of their own, found themselves outside of the economic mainstream. The economic impact statements, which we intend to do again, means that we are going to make good on our promise of $2,000 checks, supplementing those based on what we did back in December with an additional $1,400. For low-income families, we plan to help them with the most basic necessities of what we might call liquidity and cash flow, meaning that additional funding to existing programs that will provide this emergency cash or cash-like assistance, as I intend to do with the Earned Income Tax Credit and advancing the child credit, which is an extraordinary advance on what we intend to do with child poverty in America, which, as the OECD has indicated, lags behind the rest of the world in our efforts. We want to make it easier for the unemployed to afford their health insurance through premium subsidies. We're going to expand opportunities for COBRA. We're going to provide an enhanced premium tax credit for those receiving forms of unemployment insurance that will reduce their out-of-pocket costs. We plan to assist the most vulnerable who typically aren't offered health insurance through extending opportunities for them as well. The unemployment insurance supplement will also be embraced once again, between $300 and $400 additionally each week. Lastly, we plan to shore up the multi-employer pension plans, which is a big issue right here in the city of Boston. as it relates to Local 25, and we intend to make them solvent. They did nothing wrong. It was not about economic malfeasance. It was not about corruption. It was about changes in the marketplace. So specifically, again, our plan is to provide elderly assistance through a strike force for $250 million. Massachusetts, through the governor's leadership, already took advantage of $2 million of that last time around. We intend to expand it. The Elder Justice Act, which will also provide an additional $250 million to support elder abuse, will be received as well. Supporting health care coverage and improved affordability, there will be some requirements that the Massachusetts Connector will have to make some changes, but the governor is, in my judgment, he's had that down pat from day one. My staff is helping to provide and include dedicated funding for state-based exchanges to offset the cost of changes that will take place in technology as well. Special ACA marketplace insurance subsidies will be also there to accompany unemployment insurance, and specifically 6 months of COBRA subsidies from April to September of 2021. Working families, the direct payment, as I noted, will be there. We intend to create a national vaccination program and speed up the distribution. I believe 35 million Americans have been vaccinated, and last Thursday we hit the first day of 2 million vaccinations in one day. We provide expanded testing and contract tracing programs across the country, and $130 billion for schools to be reopening. Everybody sees that as a clear priority. We strengthen nutrition programs. We provide funding for rental assistance, extending the eviction and foreclosure moratorium, more funding for child care, and as I noted earlier, economic relief to families by making the child tax credit refundable. COBRA, Medicaid, I know that what this has done to the states. I know what the Medicaid budget does in states across the country. It's pretty universal in terms of the challenge. It's the fastest growth portion, I assume, of the state of Massachusetts budget, and we believe the $360 billion that is going to come to our states through formula will take some of the pressure off of that challenge as well. Small businesses, we intend to revisit again through the Paycheck Protection Program, and one of my favorite initiatives I hope that we are going to include as well is the Retention Job Tax Credit, which worked very well. So that's a pretty good synopsis of what we intend to do. Whenever the governor is ready, I'm happy to take some questions. Again, our timeline is tight. The president was fully engaged on these matters on Friday morning. 2 hours we went back and forth with him on filling in the details as I've described them. And the Speaker has made it clear that this is going to be done by mid-March when unemployment benefits expire, I think March 14th. So we want the package ready to go. Just the last couple of comments, and that's important to remember. The CARES Act was done in March. We came back and we did what was known as the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act was met with some resistance in the Senate, the result of which is unemployment benefits expired for some Americans, but the lag time between May and December when we passed the next package, I think contributed to the economic slowdown, which we're now witnessing. We're seeing the evidence of it right now. So our plan here is to do these initiatives for at least 1 year, try to buy some time to find out where the pandemic leaves us. The pandemic is now a year old, and a lot of people in the American family are hurting, and we think that this assistance and the timeline that I've laid out is entirely reasonable. We do not go down this road without seeking a lot of input from a lot of different people. Janet Yellen and I have talked extensively. She helped me develop the CARES Act. I think that's a fair statement. And in addition, we have sought advice across the spectrum from people as to how best to proceed, including an individual who's been very helpful as well, Jay Powell, Chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, who has said, go big. We intend to go big.